Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another breakfast. Joining me today is Jan B, creator of the Fleet Ops Routes modification for Star Trek Armada 2. Hi there.
Hi. How is everyone doing?
Well, not bad. We have a coffee here. We have something to eat. I just had to Google it, what I'm eating here, because I wasn't sure. It's called poppy loaf or leaf loaf, I guess.
Oh.
It's basically just a sweet thing from the bakery.
Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. No, my breakfast is also a lot simpler. It's just Greek yogurt with oatmeal. That's it.
Oh, I see. And what do you drink? Are you a coffee or a tea drinker?
Orange juice, actually.
Orange juice, yeah, it's also good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Normally I would drink black tea with milk, maybe even Captain Picard style, Earl Grey.
I do sometimes. Yes. Yes.
But today I needed a coffee. It was a long night yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you were quite active this year. You released 2 different versions of your mod.
Yeah, I did. Wasn't really planning on it, and then the modding bug got me again, and yeah, I got to work again. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on it, but I'm now really proud of the result.
What more or less did you add or change?
I reworked the engine again multiple times. Now cloaking is a lot better in my opinion, and opinion of most people who play it. So now the AI actually uses cloaking and decloaks when there's a target nearby or when it's being attacked. Where previously it would just stay cloaked forever if it wasn't manually commanded to decloak, which was really odd in Fleet Ops, in the base mod.
Yeah, the cloak behavior was always odd in Armada. Very strange mechanic.
Yeah, basically if you didn't give the AI cloak detection, then nothing would ever happen. Then the other team would just cloak and sit still forever. That's what I observed in a lot of Fleet Ops games when you were playing with Romulans or against Romulans. Especially if you were observer, you would just notice the frame rates going down and down and down and down, and you were like, why is that? And then it was just like this huge Romulan fleet being cloaked somewhere on the map, usually right inside the enemy base.
I also, how to phrase it, I'm not entirely sure if I really enjoy the cloaking gameplay in Fleet Ops compared to normal Armada. Because in normal Armada it's a little bit simpler. You have the scout unit, you have the sensor station, and they will basically see your cloaked or the enemy cloaked units.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
And sometimes in Fleet Ops, in the, yeah, let's call it vanilla Fleet Ops, I sometimes have the feeling it's way too hard to really find them and end the match. If you basically killed the entire base and you're looking for the last cloaked unit, it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, because you don't have passive cloak detection, but you do in routes. So yeah.
Yeah, you have in routes, but in vanilla I really don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think there they, yeah, more or less drop the ball. I enjoy that they have different cloak mechanics and that they have this intelligence network basically where you ping all the ships on the minimap, but it only works for me in theory. In gameplay it's always a little bit, where is the last ship again?
Yeah, then you have to ping them and then go send out scouts to that area and then use an active ability, and then if it's right outside that sensor range it won't work, and then you have to wait for the special energy to recharge. Yeah, I know. So that's why I just re-implemented the passive cloak detection. I nerfed it a bit, used some trickery to make the detection range on the scouts a bit smaller. And I think it's relatively balanced. So you can use cloak. It is useful, but it's not OP. And the AI will actually exploit cloak. It will actually use it to perform ambushes or to fly up to a target and attack it, and then cloak again and fly away.
Oh, that's nice. Did you change more in the AI behavior than that, or was it already in fleet ops?
No, that was all new. Because like I said, the vanilla fleet ops AI just cloaked and then stayed cloaked, and that was it. I think unless it was attacked directly, maybe. But now the AI will attack if an ally nearby is being attacked, or if it's at a move command and a stop near a target. And those two very simple behaviors combined actually make it useful. Make the AI avert the opponent using cloaking. And then the other big change was adding species 847
Oh,
as a playable race with some single player missions.
interesting. It's always tough to have a species which is, from canon at least, nearly invincible. It's how should you beat them? How did you change them? Are they very strong? Are they just balanced? What route did you basically go with them?
I just took most of my inspiration from Armada 2. I followed that plan. I did give them 10 dreadnoughts, so those are the strongest ships in the game. So I made the 847-2 bioship, called it the Leviathan, and you're allowed to build. I had to name it something other than bioship because all of their ships are bioships.
It's a perfect name.
Yeah, right. And then so you're allowed to build 10 of them, which is way more than the dreadnoughts of any other faction. But then you don't have a battleship class. So those are the ships that are second tier, so behind the dreadnoughts. So that was one way of balancing it. And then other than that, like their smaller ships are just regular ships. They're equivalent to the ships of other factions. So they're cruisers and artillery ships, and support ships are very similar to normal ships. They do repair a bit faster. They're auto repair because you don't have any shipyards where you can actually repair the ship immediately. And they grow from embryos, just like in Armada 2. They only use one resource, just like in Armada 2. They don't have defense platforms, but every station is armed, including the research stations. So try to balance it like that.
I wonder how do you change that up a little bit, especially the Borg in vanilla fleet ops, very unique in the building aspect, that you could customize basically the ships how you want, more defensive, more offensive. And having something for species 8472 would also be interesting. So basically they have a different biological mutation route to go.
Yeah, well, I just went with the embryos and cocoons from Armada 2, so I just recreated that. So every ship is grown from an embryo. So there's one building, the incubator, that serves as a sort of shipyards, but it cannot repair ships and it can only produce embryos. And then embryos can be grown into any class of ships. So that is unique because you can stash 100 embryos in your base and then decide what to evolve them into later. So that is a unique gameplay element. But of course they are vulnerable while they're unevolved.
I guess in general it's very easy to use content from stock Armada to basically to include into fleet ops because I guess it's already in the code.
Yeah, most mechanics still work just fine. Yeah, so that's the route I went, and I think it works. I played a lot of games against the AI, or was an observer with AI games, watching the AI play against itself on multiple maps with different starting locations, and using that, I sort of try to balance all the factions again. So every faction has been rebalanced slightly since previous versions from Roots. Oh, and I also reintroduced a ranking system, so ships can rank up again to veterancy status.
That's very good because this is really a core aspect for me in RTS games.
Right. Yeah, and I got some comments on. I think there were some people playing Roots on YouTube, and then some of the comments said, "Well, this game is great, but I missed the veterancy status. I missed the ships ranking up. I want that back." And at first, I didn't look forward to doing that because the game engine doesn't really support it very well. So, for example, if you have a build limit, like you do with the battleships and the dreadnoughts in Roots, then you can get into trouble with the AI, because when a ship ranks up, it's a different ship under the hood. Like in technical terms, it would be a different ship. You and I would say, well, it's just a veteran status of another ship, but the game engine doesn't recognize that, and the AI doesn't recognize that. So the AI just sees it as a different ship and then tries to rebuild the original ship. But if you have a build cap, it can get stuck. It can be like, oh well, this ship does count for the build cap, but it doesn't count as having been built, and then it can get stuck. So I had to rewrite some of the functions in the game engine to make that work. But I got that working about a month ago, so then I could add it back in a simplified version.
Yeah, that's really good, because every time I play vanilla Armada 1, there are two things for me always missing. One is the ranking, which is not that bad that it's missing, but what really is missing for me is also the ability to upgrade your ships, that they have better sensors, better weapons. It's a nice little detail to spice up the game, or the playtime of the match.
Right, you mean so you mean with the systems upgrades, right? Better shields, the weapons. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's not a must-have, but it's, like I said, it spices up the gameplay.
Yeah, and it's an extra choice you get, and it can be a force multiplier, right? If you have a lot of ships, then it's a very good investment to spend 1,000 lithium or however much it is. It looks like a lot, but then if all your ships in your fleet become 10% stronger, then it's well worth it. But if you do it early on and you only have a couple of ships and you're low on resources, then it might not be a good choice. And like that, it's adds some complexity, some extra choices. Yeah, I really liked it too. And that was missing in Armada 1. Armada 1 was sometimes too simple, also because you could just spam battleships very easily.
Exactly. There wasn't much variety not in the ships, but in the types of ships you used.
Right. And also no rock paper scissors system either. Like, well, it wasn't like every type of ship was basically just the same, but with different hit points and DPS. That was it. And of course, special weapons mattered, but it's not like cruisers were very good against battleships or vice versa or anything like that. That was So then you get a very shallow game.
In co-op principle, yes, but they tried at least to spice it up a little bit. The different factions behave a little bit different, in the sense of the Borg need a lot of crew, but they can really repair fast. And the Klingons, for example, have a bonus if the crew is in the red. So if a lot of crew members died, the fire rate will increase of the ships.
Really? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, my co-host Steven Saturn is really deep into the mechanics of Armada 1, and he says it's very complex, but you don't feel it and you don't see it.
Yeah.
It's just mathematical there, and it's a little bit too shallow, except if you play Borg, that you will feel. 1,000 Borg drones, they don't grow on trees, so you need a lot of starbases to grow them.
Yeah, right. And especially one above a planet. Right?
Yeah, you want to share anything about the current state of the mod?
No, it's fine. So right now I feel like it's perfected again, but I felt that way before, so who knows? Maybe the bug will catch me again, and then I'll start working on it again. But right now I don't really have any ideas of what to add.
Okay, good, because I just wanted to ask you, what is your future? So you feel it's now finished?
Yeah, but like I said, I felt that way before, and but before I always had some things nagging at me, like the lack of the veterancy system, the lack of species 8472. But those have been resolved now, so maybe I'll rehold the AI again sometime in the future. Although that's so much work to get it working just right. And then I have to rebalance every single player mission again, which is also a pain. And of course, I'm also still active on the Discord and helping other people out with their mods.
I wonder how many missions are there roughly. I never counted them, so
yeah, I believe at the moment, each of the 3 main campaigns 7 missions, and then there's in the 4th bonus tutorial thingy campaign, there's 3 new missions involving the war between species 8472 and the Borg, and that adds 3 new missions. So there's 24 like that, and there's a bonus mission, and then some of the missions have replayability because you can play them as different factions. And for example, the newest Borg mission allows you to play it as species 8472 as well. And it's not just a mirror of the Borg mission, so it actually has different objectives, and you start in a different portion of the map in a different situation. Like the Borg have to defend against another Borg base, and if you play as species 8472, you have to just get your base running as fast as possible, pump out ships as fast as possible, and go help your Borg ally. So there's some replayability in that. So in that sense, there's like 30 missions, something like that.
not bad, not bad. So content-wise, you could even say it's the same as the vanilla Armada 2.
Yeah, I guess you could. Especially since some of those missions were very short and very simple. Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Yeah, and the other missions are a bit more involved. Like they'll take you like 15 or 30 minutes, something like that.
And besides the mod, you also worked on the engine a lot. Did you find anything new to fix or any workaround to improve the engine a little bit?
So as we mentioned before, the cloaking, AI behavior around cloaking. So the AI now actually decloaks when there's a good opportunity, or when nearby allies have been detected, or when it has been detected and attacked, then it will decloak and retaliate. See that. Also, yeah, like also there's a new feature that modders can use where the AI build list, maybe this is getting too technical, I'm not sure. Stop me when it becomes too technical.
No, I'm interested.
All right. So the way the AI decides how to build units, it goes through a list, and then each line has the name of a ship, of an ODF file, so a unique ship, and then it says how much it needs and whether it should be rebuilt, and how many times it should be rebuilt. And if you set it to 0, it will be rebuilt infinitely. And as ships get destroyed, the AI moves back down the list and tries to rebuild the units. But the problem was when you have variants of units, for example, using special abilities or a veterancy system, so when the ship ranks up, the AI doesn't recognize it as belonging to that line on the build list because it's a different ship, technically. So I changed that. So I included a mechanism that makes the AI capable of recognizing different ships as being variants of the same ships. So modders can use that for all kinds of nice effects. For example, if you wanted to make a mod where if the Borg assimilated the ship, and let's say they assimilated the cruiser, then you could have the AIs recognize it as, hey, this is a cruiser, so we don't have to build a Borg cruiser anymore.
Oh, interesting. It's really good that there is some work done on the AI, because it wasn't the best part in Armada in general.
No.
In neither of those games, 1 or 2.
Yeah, we definitely saw that with the cloaking. I went back and tried to observe some games, some AI games in vanilla Star Trek Armada 2. And I was really disappointed, like how slow it was, how dumb the AI was. Also on the larger maps, when the AI is expanding at the start of the game, it takes forever. And it's very vulnerable during that stage. And I discovered that was because there was like a complicated system of prioritizing some moons or planets over others. So I also changed that in the engine, that the AI would expand outwards. So nearby moons and planets would be expanded on first, and then the AI can expand a lot faster, a lot more efficient, and also defend its mining operations. So that was also changed.
Especially in Armada 1, it's always so frustrating that it's also so stubborn. They always have to build exactly that building or that ship as their next.
Yeah.
Of course, we're looking back at it. For 24 years, we have mods and game development history behind us. So yeah, it's different back then. It was different back then.
we have to look at it in the context of that time. Although I have to say, like even the StarCraft 1 AI was so much better than the Armada 2 AI. So even back then, there were differences.
True, there were examples, but for example, the AI from Command and Conquer was also very stupid.
Yeah, it was. Although I think they had pre-programmed engineer rushes and stuff like that, or airdrops. Of course, it was all scripted.
In the later games, yeah, but I don't think in the real Command and Conquer and the Red Alert, the first one, I remember they were also very exploitable.
Yeah. But I think even by Tiberian Sun and Red Alert 2, they already had some scripted ambushes and airdrops and stuff like that. So yeah, I did play a game of Red Alert 2 last week just to try it again, and then yeah, of course I won easily, but still the AI was trying. It was trying to get to sneak in the back of my base and stuff like that, even though it wasn't the shortest route, and so it was sort of trying, and that's more than the vanilla Armada 2 AI would do.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Especially Red Alert 2 and Armada 1 were in the same release era.
Right.
So they could have done better. That's true. But at least the AI has one advantage. The Romulan can cloak its super weapon, and the players can't. It's subspace rift ship, which
the suicide ship
explodes.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it can cloak.
I didn't know that.
If the AI uses it, because the button itself isn't there for the player, so the player can't activate the cloak. But the AI doesn't need a button.
I never knew that. Does the hotkey work?
It's a hotkey, yeah. I guess definitely the modders fixed that, but I know in vanilla you can't.
Oh well, that's actually a very common issue when you're modding. Yeah, that the button isn't visible for human players, or it's invisible, but you can hover your mouse over it and then see it. That I didn't know they had that in Armada 1 as well. So that's probably a bug then.
Talking about that issue, it's also one thing I really prefer in Armada 2 or in the Armada 2 engine, is that you have finally the ability to give all the ships a brain and let them select, use your special abilities how you want or you shouldn't, or move that far, or fire, or do nothing. It's so much versatile compared to Armada 1. There was really an improvement from Armada 1 to Armada 2.
Yeah, especially that you can turn off special weapons. For example, the holding beam of the Borg ships. Yeah, sometimes it really gets in the way, and then you can just turn it off. Yeah, that's really nice. That's actually also something I did change in the Roots engine. I think it was a while ago though, maybe before the last time we spoke. That's the movement autonomy was changed. So if you put them on medium movement autonomy, you don't have to babysit them anymore. They don't just fly off and chase enemies anymore.
Okay, that's good, because they are known to do that.
Yeah, you really didn't want that. No, that was really frustrating about vanilla fleet ops and Armada 2. Of course, the fleet op devs couldn't really. Okay, all right, maybe they could have changed that in the engine, but they didn't. But it was already a problem in the Armada 2 engine, and I remember always being frustrated about that. Oh, where did half my fleet go? Oh wait, they were chasing one lone scout from the AI or something like that, and that was really annoying.
At least in Fleet Ops, the ship survived. In Armada 2 vanilla, they were paper ships. They exploded left and right.
Yeah, that was just, I don't know. Many of the gameplay elements were better in Armada 2. However, yeah, the ships being made out of paper, it just made it feel like they were just expendable, and yeah, not really like the big warships or starships from the TV shows that you could imagine having crews living on them. It was just they were just like Marines in StarCraft, basically, or infantry squads in Command and Conquer. They would just die within 2 seconds.
Exactly, yeah.
And you just have to build a lot of them. I never liked that. No.
That's really funny for me personal, that I really like the improvements of Armada 2, but the gameplay I prefer in Armada 1. It's so much more fun to play compared to Armada 2, where you just have paper fleets which have incredible speed by using the warp drives.
Oh yeah. Warp is also just doesn't work. I think also the 3D environments, it doesn't really work well because of the distances involved. Also because the way hard points work, weapons hard points work, they're not really omnidirectional. So if you build a starbase or defense platform and you sneak underneath it, then even if it's within weapon range of the weapons platform, of the defense platform, it might not always be able to shoot because the hard point isn't facing the right way. Yeah, that's just really annoying. And I don't know, maybe you would need something like the Homeworld engine, I guess, to make it really work.
Exactly, and it was not necessary.
No, right. I get why they wanted to experiment with it, because of course it's space and in real life it's 3D, but with those short weapon ranges it doesn't really work, and it's very difficult to keep track of all your units that way. And then with the warping, yeah, you could just basically warp into a base, kill something, and then warp out. And there wasn't much strategy to it.
I wonder, what do you think about the colony mechanics in Armada 2? Were they good? Were they bad?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Yeah, having crew as a resource, I liked it. But I do understand why it was removed from Fleetos, because of course it does distract from the actual like fighting, and it makes it more of a space sim, like or a civilization game. I did like it though, especially in a quiet game, a slow game. It was nice to colonize all the planets on the map and see the population grow, and then try to protect your planets and everything. But I do understand why Fleet Ops removed it, and I didn't include it in Roots either, because it does distract from the core gameplay.
Yeah, I think the same. It's a really nice thing to have, especially if you are, I guess we are more or less in the same ballpark here, more the relaxed gamers. It's nice to have, really nice. But in a competitive game, it's distracting.
Yeah, very much so. Yes. Or in a very tense single-player mission, where you are against the clock and facing overwhelming odds, then it's really a distraction. And also having another resource, while we already got a supply in Fleet Ops, would also be distracting, I think.
True. But there are some examples in RTS where you have multiple resources, so it wouldn't be that distracting, but going for the competitive route, of course, yeah.
And of course, Fleet Ops was mostly, it was only made for multiplayer, basically. So I understand why they made that choice, and I followed that choice for the Roots mod. And also, just, I don't know, I was also thinking, well, the planets are, they're not just tiny colonies. Sometimes they are actual homeworlds or like really large planets with lots of defenses on them and around them, and there was no way to really incorporate that into the gameplay, I think, without completely changing the scale of the gameplay.
But the only thing I could think of would basically be the idea to expand on the metal mining station. You could basically use that station to upgrade defensive, or maybe make even a planetary ring around it and have different modules to spice it up a little bit.
Oh yeah. In theory, that's not a very bad idea. Maybe also in addition to the planetary shields, you could have planetary defenses, like offensive weaponry. But then every planet really becomes like this fortress on the map.
Exactly, it's another base more or less.
Yeah, exactly. And but then you would need really large maps to be able to navigate around those. And that completely changes the gameplay. Though I'm not 100% opposed to it. Like someone could make a mod like that, and I would probably enjoy it if it's done well.
If the map's big enough, the warp drive would also make sense.
Yeah, true. And then, of course, if you have warp inhibition zones, but you already did have those in Armada 2, so the game engine does support that.
Speaking about projects which are not done or not even in concept phases, what are your plans for the future? Do you want to basically leave now Armada 2 behind you and switch to a different game, or do you say, enough of the modding, I do something else?
Right now I'm in the enough of the modding phase, but I've been there before, so I might return. And yeah, I'm still available to help out other modders, and who knows, at some point I might get some inspiration again, get back to roots, or maybe try something else. But right now I don't really have plans to create anything else on my own.
So then I have to ask you, what do you plan to do besides of modding? Do you play games? Do you watch movies?
I do. I do also play some sports, but I really got into Babylon 5 a couple of months ago. I was like, okay, I've never seen that. Is it any good? Maybe I should start watching it. And now I'm nearly at the end, so I really enjoyed that. Also, this new show, it's called Silo. I'm really hooked on it. Don't know if you've heard of it.
I heard about it, but I haven't watched it. I want to watch it in the future, yeah.
It's really, really good. It's It's a really modest science fiction show, but it's just very grounded, very modest. But it's very well done. Oh, and I've been playing some Valheim with friends lately as well. That was really fun.
What was the game name?
The game, Valheim.
Valheim. Okay. Oh yeah. Sandbox gaming. Yeah. Remember.
Yeah. Especially if you do it with a group of friends, it's really fun to do. Like build your own.
I think in general those survival games, sandbox games, are at the peak fun level if you play together. If you play it alone, it's okay. You can get a kick out of it, but it's not the peak funness for me.
Exactly, and then it also just becomes too much of a grind if you have to do everything by yourself.
Yeah. It's a second job sometimes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Without the work colleagues.
Yeah. Without the pay. You don't get paid for it. No, but yeah, indeed. Yeah, all the mining and crafting and like it's all fun, but if you had to do it all by yourself, then it would be overwhelming. But with a small group of friends, it's really fun.
And did you enjoy any other Star Trek content besides of Armada 2?
I think I went back to Armada 1 a couple months ago. I replayed the campaign. I really enjoyed it, even though it has its shortcomings. But I really just like the art style so much and just the nostalgia.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I have all the classic Star Trek games always installed on my PC since 2000, so it will never be deleted. And I always have multiplayer rounds at least once a year in those games. But what I experienced new this year, very interesting things. One is a mod called Starcry. It's a mod for Crisis, which at the first glance it's totally a Stargate mod where you experience everything from the Stargate universe. But there are so many little things which gives a nod to other franchises. For example, you find a Cardassian phaser. you find on the SGC, on the Stargate Command Center, you find a time capsule which is of a very small niche series called 7 Days, where the time capsule can travel exactly 7 days into the past and fixes mistakes. That you find. Then you find all the different gaming posters. You find a Stargate poster. You have Star Wars sounds in it. So many little Easter eggs about all the different sci-fi shows. It's really, really well done and long. It's around 10 hours.
It sounds awesome. Like so, it's a Stargate themed mod of Crisis.
Exactly. The only thing you notice is it's from 2012, which means there's no real voiceover. So all the dialogue is basically text boxes. Today, if you would make such a mod, you would use the amazing AIs we have and create dialogue by that. But the rest, it's really funny. The only limitations are, of course, the game itself. For example, the parts where you have to drive a vehicle are very bad because driving in Crisis is very bad. So you have to work around that.
Yeah, very limited. Yeah, I remember.
But the good thing is you have a quick save and a quick load, so you can do it over and over again.
And does it have a multiplayer?
I read something on their website. I haven't tried it. I still have to finish the entire campaign. I played it already for nearly 6 or 8 hours even, and the developer of the mod said, yeah, you still have 2 hours to go.
Okay, but it does have its own single player missions. Okay, I really have to try that one. Yeah, I love Stargate.
You watched Stargate, so you know the set guns.
Yeah.
And in the game, you have them, and you can even have 2 in both hands. So they go out left and right, and then you can kill them again.
Oh yeah, of course, because 2-shot skill, right? 1-shot stuns one, right? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And it's such a fun to basically go in a room with 2 set guns, stun everybody, and then use your staff weapon and kill them the other way. Kill him again.
Oh yeah. Oh, I really have to try that. Yeah. Oh, it sounds awesome. Starcry. Okay. Because I assume you would need Crisis 1 or Crisis 2 for that, but I own both of those games.
Crisis, not the remastered, the old one, but you can get it so cheap on a sale on GOG or Steam. Not that much. And another interesting game was, even though the gameplay itself was a little bit spammy, but I still enjoyed it, Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, yeah.
Also a game from, I guess, 2014, where you have to go to Dubai, which is completely covered in sand. There is a sandstorm, and in some missions you even have to use this for the story or for just your advantage. You can shoot windows which are totally covered by sand, and if the window is breaking, the entire sand comes in and covers the enemies.
That sounds good, yeah.
And even in multiplayer, they included that on the map. So if you know the enemy is covering behind that corner and there is a window, you can shoot the window and the sand will kill him.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll try that out too. Especially Starcry. Oh, it sounds awesome. Why did I never hear about that?
I noticed it back then, but I never played it for some reason. Now I played it, and I definitely want to talk to the developer about that project. It's so amazing, and it must have been a very long project for them.
Yeah. In a first-person shooter, mission scripting is so much harder than in an RTS game. It must have been so much work.
And on the shows or movie side, I really enjoyed this year Timeless. It's a show about time travel. The concept is basically the government develops a time machine, and as soon as it was developed, basically it got stolen by a terrorist.
Naturally.
And he changes the time. Every time he changes something in the past, it has consequences for the present, basically. And it's unique in that sense. They need a historian who knows basically the different eras of American history, and they have to go back and fix that mistake.
It's kind of like the temporal agents in Star Trek, right?
Exactly, yeah, exactly in that sense. And it's of course interesting. The characters go into the past, try to fix something, and then they come back into the present, and all the characters in the present don't know. I don't know a real example, but for example, they don't know James Bond.
So they have to tease out these little differences to just these small differences to figure out if something had changed or not. That must be fun, right? And then you're always anxious whether you miss something or not.
Like most shows from the US, of course, it's very US centric. It would be fun to have something European centric at least once in television. But of course, we know most of the historical important stories, but some unique stories which are only recognized by American viewers or majority.
Yeah. It's always good to introduce history to a wide audience.
Definitely. To watch it from different angles.
Also, to get, I don't know if they do a good job at it, but I hope they do. It's like providing the context of the historical event, and yeah.
Yeah, in general, they did a good job. I really enjoyed it, and my wife was an archaeologist, so she knows a little bit about European history at least, and she knows about the different aspects of history. So yeah, having something like that on your side if you watch something like this is nice.
Yeah. You say, okay, they did a good job there. Okay, maybe not here, but they did it here, and yeah. Oh, it sounds like fun. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, timeless. And for my part, like Babylon 5, it really grew on me. Yeah, it was. I'm really hooked on it now.
Absolutely, I was also very late watching it. I watched it 5 years ago, the first time.
Maybe you also appreciate it a bit more when you're a bit older.
Yeah,
that's what I believe. Because I do believe if I had watched it when I was like 16, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
I saw it on TV, but I wasn't hooked for some reason. It didn't grab me same as DS9 or Voyager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I did watch those shows when I was a teenager, and I think my mom used to watch Babylon 5, and I sometimes saw snippets, but it didn't really interest me as much. And of course, back then you didn't have streaming, so yeah. So if it wasn't on your network, then you couldn't watch it anyway. But now that I'm older, I'm recognizing a lot of the themes, and they're very mature. Like, even though the writing is sometimes a bit cheesy, I think because it was all written by one guy. That's the one small criticism I have of it, but otherwise it's very, very good. And the storylines are very solid.
I guess you don't know that fact, but it's a funny side note here. They filmed everything, of course, for the 4:3 ratio, the normal television ratio back then.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also the DVD widescreen ratio available. So I watched it original in the DVD version, and just a few years ago, they gave you more or less a... You shouldn't call it a remaster. They upscaled it, they cleaned the picture a little bit. It's a little bit better.
I think that's the version I'm watching right now. It does look upscaled sometimes. Sometimes you can see it. Yeah, sometimes you can see the upscale effects, but it does look a bit more high res than also like that would normally look.
I thought so. And there you have again the original 4:3 ratio. I was really confused when I first watched an upscale video on YouTube. Why is it 4:3? I watched that in widescreen. Where's the rest of the picture?
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, that was how the creators of the show wanted the show to look. So it's the real format.
Right, yeah, but they had technical limitations back in the day, of course. Yeah. People always complain about the old CGI effects. I don't really get that, because you know that if they had more, if they had better hardware or more resources, that it would have looked a bit different or a bit more, I don't know, cinematic. And then in the later seasons, it does improve.
I think the only thing you really can complain about is that whoever did the upscaling did not such a good job.
No, sometimes you can see it. Yeah.
It's a money grab job. They upscaled it. It looks better, definitely, but they could have done so much more.
Yeah. Sometimes with the faces, like the faces get distorted, right? Sometimes.
That, and they used a lot of noise in the picture. They used artificial noise to make it a little bit more dirty. The upscaling wasn't done nicely. There's a German podcast more or less on YouTube, who gave us a side-by-side comparison how much he could get out of the DVD and how much the remastered project got out of it. So it's night and day, sadly. But that's always the problem. You need so much manpower to have a good remastered version of a DVD set, and it costs a lot of time and money. Stargate, for example, had a okayish upscaling process. It's really an improvement, but still they lost a lot of details.
I didn't even know it was upscaled, Stargate. I didn't even know.
Also, I would say 3 years ago, something like that. They upscaled it to 1080p, and that was the first time I really did a comparison. I have the DVDs, of course, so I used the DVD image and the upscale image and compared basically, and saw, okay, there on the sand in the desert, you definitely see something is missing. But of course, the faces look better, the Stargate looks better, everything close up is better, but it loses some little detail.
Yeah, I did watch it on Netflix a couple of years ago, and did notice it looked a bit crispier, but I didn't know if that was just the result of a higher resolution screen than what I used to watch it on many years ago.
Could be both, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Stargate Atlantis was always shot in HD, I think. So that was all.
I guess quite soon after the end of Atlantis, they released a Blu-ray version, so 1080p was very soon available. And same Universe.
Oh, of course, yeah. And those already had like very good special effects, especially for the day.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I occasionally watch some Stargate episodes once in a while, and then I do remember watching a Stargate Atlantis episode 6 months ago, maybe, and then there was an explosion. I think a Wraith dart was exploding in the sky, and I was like, "Hey, I know that explosion." I'm 99% sure that the stock explosion effect that I use in Roots was taken from that scene.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah, it was just like, I recognize that piece of the debris. It moves in exactly the same way as in as in Roots. So that's
it's
a nice unintended Easter egg.
I find it totally okay if shows do that, but there has to be a certain quality standard.
Right, and then
I always, for example, complained in Star Trek Picard Season 1 that they used cheap CGI templates from a website. And by cheap, I mean $70 templates. For short stuff, there's a scene in the show where there's a vision about androids, about the future, what could go wrong and stuff like that. And all those animations were created from a website.
Really? Okay, yeah.
It's so cheap. I thought, oh my god, Star Trek was always the highest tier of art, of graphics, of custom design. Everything was the highest level you could imagine. And they go to a website for $70, they buy a template, really? Put a Starfleet logo on the Android?
Yeah, that's really bad. That. Yeah, because it's true, especially back in the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, it was like Star Trek was always the standard for special effects. True, and it should remain so. And then in season 3 of Picard, it became again, I think.
Exactly, yeah. Only if they could have found the light switch. It was so dark. It was so dark.
Oh yeah, because it was so dark. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's just a modern aesthetic. Like a lot of movies and TV shows have that. It's just something about our zeitgeist.
Not only that, but you also have to light the room, the set, a little bit different compared to the 90s. The cameras work a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit darker in an 4K resolution setting.
Also, these days it's a lot of green screens as well. So I think it's harder to get really bright colors on green screens. Then you have to like use different kinds of screens, like they did in the Dune movie. I think they had like brown screens instead of green screens. And then they could have really bright colors and like sand colors, and that worked really well. But it also cost them a boatload of money, of course.
But I remember some of the PNG actors, they wondered if they could be seen even. They wondered why is the set so dark. Even they not complained, but they mentioned it.
Also, it wasn't an After Effect. It wasn't done in editing.
No. It was really the set very dim lit.
Oh, then you wonder if they were trying to hide something.
Could be.
Maybe the sets weren't that good. Or maybe there were some rough edges.
The only thing which was properly lit was, I think, the Enterprise D bridge.
Yeah, but of course it had to be.
There you could see everything.
Yeah, but it had to be, of course.
It had to be, yeah, definitely.
And it was always like very brightly lit in the show as well. But I think they rebuilt it quite well. Assuming it was a rebuild, but it probably was. Right?
It was a totally rebuilt by the original plans.
Yeah, well, it was nice they did include that. Yeah. But then again, these days it's harder to see the difference between very good CGI and slightly less good CGI because it's just so easy to do right now, right? Of course, you do still have artifacts, like you said, with the upscaling. Like sometimes you can see, okay, well, they could have done a better job here, but it's not like it's 10 times more expensive to add a bit more detail. It's not like it used to be.
That's the funny thing. Even though it's, I would say, easier to make CGI now. Of course, you have to do it in high resolutions now, and you need much more details on the models and everything. It takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. But in general, the tools are way better than what we had in the 90s, and the quality is less. Especially if you compare ship shots. Everything external is not on the same level as we had in the 90s or early 2000s, in the sense of
it's a different look, I think, because back then they used physical models, so the lighting would be different.
I don't mean that in general. I mean the context more or less around it. For example, in Strange New Worlds, you have that episode where they tell us we have 2 ships near a, I think it was a dilithium refinery. It's some kind of refinery in a nebula. Mm-hmm. You don't even see once the second ship.
Yeah.
And that's really, really lazy. If you can just copy and paste your files which you already created and have another ship in there.
Yeah. So it's more about craftsmanship, right? Than about like the CGI itself. Like just what should a shot look like? What would the audience want to see? Yeah. But what gives the audience like a sense of overview that they can immediately see what's going on? Yeah, that's sometimes lacking.
Or in season 1 from Picard, you have already a huge library of ships. Why do you use a copy and paste fleet?
Yeah, I hated that.
That's laziness.
Yeah. I never understood that because I was like, I know they did make some models. They did remaster like an Akira class, I believe. Even like the show's effect team did that, but they didn't put it in there. Why was that? And they made a Sovereign class because we saw it in the first episode, and they did a Galaxy class. Why didn't they just put them in there? And then in the later seasons they did, but yeah, it was really weird. Yeah, I never got that. Like and even if they didn't have the models, like yeah, it would be like a couple of days work to remaster like an old effects shot from First Contact or something like that, like an old model from there. They could probably just make it in a couple of days. Yeah, yeah. Everyone hated that scene, including me.
Yeah, that's I mentioned it so many times on this channel, but for me it's always the biggest complaint about the shows that they don't use experts anymore. Back then they had experts for everything, for the space science. You had experts for custom designs, everything, and you had also a show bible where basically you state
right.
what can happen and what can't happen in the show. And nowadays they don't have that. They just need, let's say, 2 experts in Star Trek who know really Star Trek, and they can say, don't you want to give at least us 3 or 4 different ship classes in a fleet? Don't you want to check that fact about androids again? There are so many little details which they could have fixed.
Right, and of course, it's not really a problem if like once or twice they get something wrong, because even the old shows were sometimes contradicting each other. But yeah, now it happens a lot. But I think the showrunner of this third season, Picard, I think is it Terry Matalas, the guy from what's that time travel show called?
Exactly. He worked back then on DS9, or he started working on DS9, if I remember correctly.
It was really in better hands with him.
But yeah, he only did 1 season.
But still, like you could really see that he was. I think he also worked on Enterprise. I think you could really just the whole feel of the show was different in season 3, and I think that was because of him, because he was a showrunner back then. And
yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed season 3 the most, but even there I had so many, let's call it problems. I had really problems with the show. I didn't buy, for example, that the Borg and the Dominion would ever work together.
Oh right, yeah.
It was so really have one enemy, that's enough.
Oh, it wasn't the Dominion, but it was like Rogue.
Yeah, a sub-faction of the founders, yeah. Which was, of course, tortured by a bad Section 31. Really, come on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
And also that the Borg use a cryptic hologram to communicate and present them as... have an avatar as the devil, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Really. It was so pointless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that you can fly a starship within a cube for like 5 minutes. Well, it was a special cube, but still, like... How big was that cube? Yeah, but then again, they did stuff like that in the shows sometimes. Like when you see the Defiant fly around the Jem'Hadar battleship, you're like, how can you fly across it for like a minute? Like, is it 100 kilometers long? It's not. So, but yeah, still with all the resources you have today, you could fix those things, right?
Like you said, the old shows also had problems, but the good to bad ratio was so much better. So much better. Who in the fucking mind comes to the idea that a ship has a turbolift network which is bigger than the outside of the ship? So how can you do that? How can you do such a thing?
Well, you mean the 2009 movie, right?
No. In Discovery.
In Discovery?
In Discovery, they show us a turbolift network, basically, which has... it's unbelievable huge. The turbolift cells, let's call them, move around to emptiness. You see ship interiors. It's enormous. It's unbelievably huge.
Just like in that movie, like Star Trek 2009, right? Where they also just move through empty space. And
Star Trek 2009 was modest.
Yeah, and I think they actually canonically upscaled the ship a lot in that movie, right? I think it actually was a lot bigger at the Enterprise than it was in the shows. They actually mentioned it, or like the whole scaling with all the windows.
Exactly, yeah. And that little, sometimes they are little, sometimes they are bigger. Those problems they could easily fix by having some experts who fix the script up a little bit.
And it's also a question of why would you introduce it in the first place? But would it detract from the scene if the lifts were just moving through a tube?
Yeah, of course they couldn't have a fight on top of the turbolift and you see the surrounding and it's mesmerizing to see and
Yeah, but if you didn't see the surroundings, you would like see the lift shaft, and it would be more claustrophobic and scary because you could hit the side or something like that. They could have done that, man.
Yeah,
and got some drama out of that. But yeah, I don't like Discovery. Of course, most people don't. But
it's true. I had a lot of fun fighting in Elite Force in the turbolift shafts because you never know when a turbolift comes by and hits you. Yeah,
right. Or when it goes around the corner and then you get smashed against the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, and is it even possible economically to have a fight in there? We've never really shown how long a turbo lift takes to get somewhere, right? But it can't be that long.
No, it was always plot speed.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so if you have to go to get to the bridge from engineering, you want to be there like in 1 minute, and then in most episodes that would happen. But then I don't know. I guess you can also have shenanigans on the way, even though like the ships are like only a couple 100 meters across anyway. So how long would it take? It's just silly. But I did enjoy Star Trek New Worlds, so I do enjoy that.
Strange New Worlds, you mean? New Worlds is a game from 2000.
Yeah, no. That's Strange New Worlds. Yeah. It's so much better than Discovery in many aspects. Yeah. Even though I think it does share some of the writers, so I don't know what happens. Maybe because it's a different showrunner or something. But yeah, I don't know.
I also mentioned that again on this channel, but I have to now. Yeah, it's better, definitely. Especially they can really show nice ship interiors now. But the big but here is the writers still don't know about the military. One example here would be an officer would never complain about a superior officer in his official log. There would be never such a thing. Or you can, of course, make silly comments also in the military, but directly to your officer, to a superior officer, or all the time, it's not okay.
No.
The level of professionalness in Star Trek went out the window, sadly.
Yeah, but did they do it already in Deep Space Nine? Like, yeah, of course it was different because, for example, Kira wasn't like in Starfleet anyway. Yeah.
Exactly, that's something else. If you have different races, different command structures, it's again different. But if everything is one department, basically one branch of the military, you have your directly superior officer, it's different.
Yeah.
But okay, that's one aspect. I can understand they don't have a clue about the military, they don't care about that. Okay, I can swallow it. I don't like it, but I can swallow it. But what I can swallow is, for example, that they give us a very beautiful episode for children, where they have a magical forest and magical creatures, really beautiful, good story for me. And the next one is an alien ripoff, which you could never even show a child. So, what is the target audience here?
I have no idea actually.
That's not okay. Also, to be honest, which species could really develop spaceships, weapons, if they behave like the Gorn? It's also so. Have you really thought about it? It works for Alien because Alien is a horror franchise. Doesn't need to be making any sense there. But here...
Yeah, but then again, I had that question about many races in Star Trek. I mean, how did Backlash get the warp drive, right?
If there is the idea that they stole it or got it somewhere, okay.
Yeah, maybe the Gorn did too.
I can see that a dumb species is somehow coming to technology, but a species which is born and kills immediately everything in their surrounding and even competitive against each other.
Yeah, but I wonder how they're gonna change it, because I do believe they're gonna change something about the Gorn like in later seasons, because the Gorn are different. Yeah, they have to make it canonical. So I do believe they're gonna do that. I wonder how they do that, because there's probably gonna be some reveal like that this is just one faction of the Gorn, or like they weren't always like that. It's probably gonna be something like that, right? It's to tie it in with the other shows. Otherwise it just wouldn't make sense.
Also, it's a little bit... I can forgive that, but it's of course strange that you have basically in TOS Captain Kirk a meeting for the first time with the Gorn, and in Strange New Worlds we already know them, so it's also you could have done that better.
Yeah, that's always a thing, right? With I never really... I always just hand wave it away, like in Star Trek, all the first contact situations. You're like, okay, but So, for example, the Cardassians, it's like a couple of days travel from Earth in Deep Space Nine, or at most a week. And of course, warp drives got faster, like since centuries before that. But then it's like, okay, so but you cannot really make first contacts with a species like that, like 150 years after you develop warp drives, right? I mean, you've had to run into them earlier, right? So that's always bugged me a bit about Star Trek. Like you cannot meet a new race every week, and it kind of just assumes that the other races also don't send out explorer ships and stuff like that. Or yeah.
But to be honest, it's a difference between the story is a little bit wonky that they couldn't meet each other, and changing it years later to they already met 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's not. That's that weird.
I think why it's so hard for current writers basically to say that's my show, that's my boundaries. I have to work in those boundaries. I don't make a new sci-fi show.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's pressure from the producers or something. I don't know, because with the Romulans, they're really sticking to it in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They really stick to that line with the Romulans, but then they don't with the Gorn. I don't really know why, but who made that decision? Maybe it was made in season 1, and then the current showrunners are like, why did they do that? But now we have to stick with it because they made that choice. I don't know, because in some aspects you do see like they're very strict with canon, like with the Romulans. Like we never see them, we never know much about them, just like in canon.
But I would say we slowly close it off. We are over 1 hour 30 now, so I just...
Wow, time flies.
Yeah, we already talk a long time. It's nice talking to you, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I just quickly maybe tell you and the audience about my plans for the future. Basically, the most important thing is, for me, I got a second new webcam. I already have a camera, but I also have a second webcam now. So I will get back to my Lego streams. I bought a few models again, and I want to create something again with my own hands and not only on PC. So I'm looking forward to that. Then I also want to really start my map and mod contests, where I basically pick 1 or 2 games, let's say Battlefield, or in our case Star Trek Armada 1 and 2, and say, hey, send me maps and mods, and the best 3 will win a prize. Team Key, for example.
Oh, sounds interesting.
So I will experience different flavors of maps and mods, which I never experienced any other way. And yeah, then of course I will definitely continue my different interviews and spotlight series. And yeah, most important, I will definitely continuing my beating of my pile of shame. I have over 600 games and I haven't played a lot of them. So I said, hey, I have to play every game on my channel, so I will stream everything. It will take me a few days to beat all 600 games, I guess.
Just a couple of days.
Just a couple of days, exactly. But I like most people, I hate this feeling that I buy and never play.
Like for your Steam library, right?
Steam, and if you count GOG and CD collection, everything into that pile, it's way too much. And I thought, hey, let's make it that way. I will basically, at the end of every game I've beaten, I will randomly select via a website 4 games, and the community can decide which of those I shall play.
Oh yeah, sounds like fun.
So a different approach, but something which keeps me hopefully motivated to beat that pile of shame.
Yeah, because there's probably gonna be some really bad games in there, right?
Oh yes, there will, but I have to suffer through them. Did you ever play Starship Creator?
No.
It's a terrible Star Trek game. I was so excited the first 10 minutes of the game, because you can design your ship how you want. You can have more weapons arrays. You can have more science labs. You can pick your crew, everything, and then you send your ship on a mission, and it's just a static map where you see the ship icon move to the location. You have a mission text, mission accomplished, and it moves back. Fuck. That's not what I wanted.
They're just scanning dust particles all the time. Or...
Yeah. There was even a second part of this game where that was funny, where you could export your created ship design into, I think it was Dominion Wars.
Really?
And then have your ship there. But it didn't change anything. It didn't change anything. It was just a gimmick.
So the weapons didn't add anything? Or?
I guess it was just visualization.
Oh, that's too bad.
Maybe that, not even that really. It was such a disappointment.
Oh, that's too bad, because I don't know. I played Dominion Wars way back in the day, but it was a really short game. Like it took me like 2 days to complete.
Yeah, it's quick. It was interesting, Dominion Wars, but
it needed more content.
It needed more content, and it had a big problem. If my information is correct, to be honest, but I think it is. It went silent after 9/11, and the one reason I heard was that part of the office was in the World Trade Center.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'm not sure if they even lost developers on that day, but at least the office structure was lost.
Oh.
And after that, we didn't get any patches and nothing. So, yeah, that studio was dead, sadly.
Yeah, sad. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but we don't end on that sad note. We will switch to something else. Have you ever heard about Eaglemoss?
I have, yeah. I don't have any of the models myself, but yeah, I know about them. Yeah, some of them look awesome, like the little ship models.
It's expensive, so it's like buying trucks. The trucks are cheaper. So, hello camera. I know you're there. I see you.
Yeah, as a kid, I always wanted to have those little ship models, but I couldn't afford them.
If you watch it on the stream, it doesn't matter YouTube or Twitch. See what I'm making here or having here. An XL version of the of the Enterprise C. Where's the video again on that? I love the details of those ships. Get it out of the box. Camera a little bit that way, yeah. The saucer section is really big on the Enterprise C. Can you still hear me? Oh, wait. Yeah, you're still here?
I am.
Okay. Well, it could have been since I plugged in the USB device from the camera that the audio device was gone.
But it didn't. I could hear everything you were saying.
Okay. The only thing I don't like at this model is here. The aft section is strange. You see that? A little bit empty.
That was the Enterprise D, right?
No, that's the C.
Oh, the C. Oh, the Ambassador class.
Yeah.
Really underrated design.
Absolutely. And rarely seen.
Yeah.
Rarely seen.
But I did include it in Roots. Like it's a warp in vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see it on the stream?
I'm not on the stream right now.
Okay, right.
How can I see that?
Then I just look at the if you go to my profile. No, my mistake. You go to my profile and then hit the Valiant.
Mm-hmm.
And then live stream or live.
Let's see. On your profile. Wait, are you also live on YouTube right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I can probably on the Valiant. Right. Right. I forgot we were live. I also. Oh no, maybe I said something I shouldn't have said.
No. Everything good.
No. Let's. Alright, let's see. So.
And that is what I mean. Here it looks a little bit odd. I have to get some reference. But this looks a little bit. Maybe on the. Here it doesn't look that odd, but I think it's a little bit too long.
The saucer location. Yeah.
The base of the saucer location here, that one, I mean, it stands a little bit over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is on the real physical model back then. I was always on the impression that the entire saucer section goes around basically with the base, and not that the base is standing over the saucer section. But in general, I love the model.
Yeah, I like
and
the.
This is all metal.
Oh, it's metal.
That's metal. Nacelles and everything else is plastic.
Yeah, I like the nacelles,
is...
like the blue nacelles, like the.
And that's number one.
You know what? I'm just gonna fire up the Roots mod, and I'm gonna see what the model looks like. Okay, let's see.
And then we have here the delta plier. It's a manual here. Move a little back. Also very nice.
Oh, the saucer does extend past the neck on the battery.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's one of those ships I haven't watched enough. Where you basically have a short image in your head, but it's nothing what it should be. I like the size difference of the Delta Flyer compared to a Type 9 shuttle. But I think the scaling is right.
Oh, they seem. Yeah. I think they are to scale, right?
It's always impressive how much detail they can give those little areas. Yeah, so very good.
Yeah, I think they use a Voyager CGI model, right?
Yeah. So, and let's try this one. Tup. I like the Delta Flyer always, but it wasn't my favorite ship. I think it looks nice and also ugly a little bit.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but it was also way overpowered.
Yeah. And I wasn't a real fan of the controls. It was a nice gimmick, but
Yeah.
ooh, that's a lot of concept art.
Yeah, the Captain Proton controls.
Yeah.
I do wonder if they built more Delta Flyers after they got back from the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah. In a Star Trek Armada 1 mod I played recently, you could build an entire army of them, and they had a transwarp ability.
Oh.
So you could have them as a cannon fodder which transwarps in. Yeah, shame that the company went bankrupt. Yeah. Again, nice models for the collection. No, autofocus.
Yeah. Do the nacelles of the Ambassador class light up?
No, it's just a model. No batteries or anything inside. And as a comparison, let's put the Galaxy right next to it. A little bit bigger is the Enterprise C.
Wait, the DC should be larger. Huh.
It should be larger, yeah.
Yeah, they're not to scale.
Of course, she will always be my favorite. The fat one.
The D. Yeah. I think I prefer the E. The E just has better lines. I don't know,
It's
it looks more like a
streamlined,
warship as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just managed to be under 2 hours. So maybe one thing before we end it. Do you have any plans for Christmas?
Just very modestly. Just going to visit my sister and her newborn and her husband, and then chill out and probably play a lot of Valheim and Starcry. I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Good to hear. Well then, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for hosting me.
It was a nice talk to you, and yeah, can't wait to talk to you in the future if you come back to Fleet Ops modding, and yeah, maybe you create a newer mod or versions.
Maybe I will.
Well, like I said, thanks for joining and have a great Christmas time.
You too.
Everybody in the stream and in the video later, Merry Christmas and yeah, a Happy New Year. See you around. Bye guys.